Yeah, the mic's a little wonky, so it's kind of easy.
Me or the mic?
No, the microphone.
The mic is a little wonky. Thank you.
So I guess to open the panel, I think the best way is just to tell everybody who you are, and I know you guys will do all different aspects of the Marvel Universe, but you all are included in the universe. So let's start with you, James, and you just tell everybody what you do.
Sure. James Mathis III. I am a voice actor, currently the voice of Black Panther in Marvel's animated series.
He doesn't need a mic, I need a mic. Michael Nathanson, I played Sam Stein in Marvel's The Punisher on Netflix.
Terry Notary, I played Hulk City and Groot in the last Avengers. Worked with the actors, worked with Josh Brolin and Mark Ruffalo on their characters, so yeah.
So, again, you guys all do different aspects of being in the Marvel Universe. You do motion capture work, and you're in the acting side, and then James is in the voice acting side. So, how does that feel like to, well, first of all, to be in the Marvel Universe? That has to feel amazing for you guys. Can you give us a little insight on that, and what it's like to just be in the Marvel Universe? Terry?
Well, it's pretty, I mean, being on Avengers was pretty surreal actually because, you know, I mean, the amount of stars that are on that movie is like, you know, you're walking around Robert Downey Jr. and then Mark Ruffalo and Josh Brolin and the whole cast is just like, wow, you're kind of in the green room eating a sandwich next to everybody in here. It's like pinch me. But it turned into a big family. It was really fun. Everybody was really trying to pay homage to the characters and really try to do a really good job for the fans. They're always talking about the fans and always trying to really, stay true to the comics and try to deliver something that you guys are going to be happy with. So they were always thinking about the fans, and that's really one of the things that I was kind of like, wow, everyone really cares. My experience.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, when I first went in to audition for the part, I knew that it was under, they give you scripts usually for this kind of stuff under different names. So this one was called Crime. And I got the script and I was like, wait. And I knew the cast director. I was like, is this what I think it is? And she's like, yeah. And I actually auditioned for Micro first. Which was kind of a weird experience, and I was like, holy shit, like that was the coolest thing. So yeah, I'm like a big Marvel fan, I'm a comic book fan, like all that kind of stuff, and so when I knew that I was like actually auditioning for that kind of thing, I was just like, oh my god, could I actually get this? And I didn't get Micro, and I was like, god damn it, I guess I'm not going to be in it. And they're like, oh, but there's this other part. There's this like funny Jewish guy who's going to be in it. And I was like, there's another funny guy in it? They're like, well, Micro's not really the funny guy in this version exactly. We're kind of doing things different. So yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, it was the same thing for me too. Like I go on set and it's like, there's the battle van. Oh, and I would just like wander into Frank's, lair, and I'd just be like, holy shit, what is happening? And and John would walk by and be like, yep, that's sure. So yeah, I think for those of us who are fans, before you do these kinds of things, I was just telling these guys, yeah, it's like all of a sudden to be on the other side of the curtain is just, it's thrilling. It's a long-winded answer.
I didn't have the depth of knowledge of Marvel's universe. I wasn't a comic book reader growing up. I was an actor though, and so when the role of T'Challa came across, I approached it not with any equity in fandom, but just in preparation as an actor. And I embraced his core qualities, and it's been awesome to see and meet the fans of the character and the universe.
Yeah.
It's way deeper than I ever imagined.
I like that. The Marvel fans are the best fans. You guys are all amazing. I mean, I'm a big Marvel fan myself, and you guys all bring your characters to life in such a unique and special way, but in a very genuine way. And I find it interesting, Terry, how you do motion capture work, and you actually brought your arm extensions.
Yeah.
Would you mind talking about that a little bit and explaining what motion capture is, how it works?
I didn't know what the panel was about, so I brought my arms just
Can we see that?
Yeah,
You
sure.
were Brian, Planet of the Apes and War of the Planet of the Apes as well.
Yeah, I've done the last 3 Apes films. Played King Kong in the last Kong film. So, I mean, I guess I'll throw them on. Let's do a demo.
Alright. You guys want to see that, right?
So, first thing when you're becoming an ape, all the actors come in, and because I trained the actors for Planet of the Apes, and they come in, they say, "What do I do? What do I do to be an ape?" And it's the first thing you do is you undo what makes you human. So that's kind of like what. So it's about becoming simple and base and sort of grounded and neutral and open and vulnerable. And that's what an animal is. And that's what we are. So you take all that away, you take all the humanity away of what makes us human, like conditioned humans, and you become an ape. So I'll try to do a demo for you. Starting out as myself, who's got this persona, putting on my persona for you, and I'm going to wipe that away now. Here it goes.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so stupid show.
Wow, that was amazing. And how long do you have those on during when you're on set filming?
Pretty much all day.
Yeah.
You don't feel naked when you don't have them on.
And you have that along with all the dots that they draw and everything.
Yeah, they put dots on your face. You have 52 dots, and then they pick up all the expressions that you make on your face, and the muscles are matched to the character.
Yeah.
And so, every time you have an expression, it's translated onto the character.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for that. We're going to give you a chance to catch your breath. Michael.
By the way, one of my old jobs was I toured around the country in Lion King, and I played a bunch of different characters, but I played one of the hyenas.
That's so cool.
I played the white hyena, not one of the hyenas, and with the tongue. But we did a lot of that stuff, like the leg work and the puppetry work and that. It's like not totally dissimilar, but I was like watching you do it, I was like, I got like a flashback of being in a giant hyena costume on stage in the Lion King.
That's so cool.
So I wanted to talk to you about about the Punisher, of course.
Yeah.
And you being a big Marvel fan, how do you turn that off and not mark out and then get into character and just become and be a professional actor and just do your job as opposed to be like, oh my god, how do you do that?
I don't know. How do I do that?
I don't know what I would do if I like
Yeah.
Tony Stark and all that. I would go.
Well, I remember the first time. So there's this place in New York. It's like a very secret place. It's called the Marvel Workout. They call it the Marvel Workout Room or Center, or whatever it is. Where it's like a lot of us go to like do gun training and fight training and stuff like that. And it's an undisclosed location. I can't say where it is. I have to kill you. Marvel would come sniper me. But I remember the first day I came in to meet like a bunch of the stunt guys and girls and to like talk about some of the training we were gonna do and all that stuff. I walked in and there was Bernthal with his big beard, shirtless, long hair, on some bar, just like grunting, covered in sweat, and I was just like, first I'm a huge Walking Dead fan.
Yep.
And yeah, and so immediately it was Shane. To me, it was Shane. I was a fan of Daredevil, and I thought he was incredible in Daredevil season 2. But like, first I was like, that's Shane. And then I was like, oh wait, it's the Punisher. Oh no, it's Shane. It's the Punisher. When I first, so he comes off and he comes over to me. And he's just a good dude. He's like, good to work with you. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a great season. I'm excited. And like, that was hard. Like that moment. But like, you have enough of those moments.
Yeah.
And then you kind of settle back, and then like they take you all out to dinner, and we had like a little cast dinner with like Jeff Loeb and some of the producers and some of the folks, and you all kind of get a little bit more intimate with each other, and you're like, you know, we're all just doing a project, we're telling a story, and that's, you know, that's why you're there. You kind of have to like realize, okay, I'm there because they like my work, I belong here. I may not be as famous as these people, or famous at all, right? Or they, you know, or like whatever, but like you have to just sort of like put on your big boy pants and just be like, just get your shit together, do your work, you know, buckle down. But I never lose that sense of fun and appreciation and awe. And anyone who's worked with me will tell you that. Like, I come to set, the most disgruntled like person in the crew will, like when I come to set, they'll be like, well, Michael's here, there's a lot of energy coming, you know, because I am so like excited about it. And I think it's an amazing, so I try to never lose that sense of wonderment and excitement and really like, and everyone says to me, oh, should I not spoil what happens to me in The Punisher? Has everyone seen The Punisher?
Yeah. Please do it.
I turn into a magical unicorn at the end. I ride off into the sunset.
Nice.
But, you know, people ask me like, oh man, like what happened? And I'm like, dude, like just to be in it for like a second was like amazing, and I have a lot of gratitude for it.
Well, that's what I'm hearing. You did an amazing job. And actually, one of the things that James and I spoke about was showing appreciation, and of course being present in the moment and being open to accept these roles. And you've been doing Black Panther since 2010. And can we just talk about the weight of one thing? I know we spoke about this last night, but the weight of being Black Panther, being T'Challa, bringing that character to life. Like, how does it feel to hold that to you, the king? It's amazing.
I think it's a great responsibility.
Yes.
I don't take it lightly, but that's the way I like to roll. You know, I want the stakes to be as high as possible. When I initially took the role, I thought about the way I wanted kids to play. I thought about the way I played when I was young. It was mostly Superman, there was some Batman, and there's certain machinations that we have as kids in the way we interact with each other and make our own dialogue. You know, I'm gonna get you, we do our laser beams and all that stuff. And I thought about how I wanted to hear kids in the street playing as T'Challa. And I wanted them to be proud. I wanted every child to be proud of who the character is. I wanted them to model his sense of intellect, his sense of family, and his compassion. And those were probably the core elements of his character that I chose to focus on, as opposed to just him sounding African. Because I felt that was too easy of a thing to play and to become a shtick. You know, and I didn't want to hear shtick in the streets. You know, I wanted to hear legality. That's what I wanted.
And you've been doing a character before this,
Yes, we began in 2010 with Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Right.
And we ran for 2 seasons. And then we went away for a while. And the cinematic universe took over. And they introduced other characters. The black character they introduced then was Falcon. And we had Nick Fury. And so you can't have too many black characters on the screen at the same time. So. We had to wait for the next incarnation of T'Challa. But now is his day. Now is his day, and I'm glad to see T'Challa come out of the shadows and into the spotlight. I think he's a character with whom many can empathize and look up to as the new hero.
Absolutely. And you definitely do a wonderful job with that. Thank you all so much. With all you do.
By the way, and just to be totally Kevin Bacon for a second, to Kevin Bacon it for a second is what I meant. I toured in The Lion King with Chadwick Boseman's brother, Kevin. Play those numbers tonight, guys. Anyway, weird.
So, I can sit here and talk to you guys all day long because there's a Q&A for the audience. So I'm going to pass these over to you guys. If you have any questions, by all means raise your hand. I'll call on you. We'll try to get as many people as possible. Does anyone have any questions? We got a hand right here. What's up, man? Watch her on there.
Yes, it's very hard for me to watch a movie that I've worked on, especially when it's like the first time. I can't not pick it apart. It takes about 2 years, and I'll be thumbing through the television, and I'll stop and go, oh yeah, and I'll watch it, and I'll go, you know what, that's a lot better than I thought when I first watched it, because it's so hard. I'm so critical of myself and my performances that I cannot watch it in the movie theater at the premiere and enjoy it. I always look out after and I go, how was it? Was that good? Was it bad? I don't know. So.
I think there's always a bit of actor's anxiety with that.
But you look at yours and you're like, I look good. I mean, you look good.
There is a bit of that though, often, you know, and sometimes in my case it's because I wish they maybe use a different take. But thankfully I have a son who's 7, my daughter's 8, and it's the prime time for us to sit and watch the animated series. And it's really been a wonderful family experience. My son was born the day my first episode has T'Challa here. Yeah, give it up, y'all. That's my son. But it was beautiful. It was home birth. You know, I was torn between the TV and the
I'm so insecure. We're like the most insecure people actors, just so you know. You're probably all like, oh, nice to meet you, and you guys, maybe some people get nervous to meet actors that they see in movies and TV. We're way more nervous and insecure than you guys could ever possibly imagine. So like, it's, yeah, and I feel similarly, it's hard for me to watch myself and stuff, but you know, you try to get over it because you also want to like get better at what you do. So you kind of have to watch yourself, you have to force yourself to do it, but yeah.
We're gonna go pink ears.
So much of Marvel is all these special effects and all this action and all this crazy stuff going on. Obviously, that's not happening when you're doing your job. So how do you simulate that for yourself, or how do they simulate that for you? How do you get into all that action?
Okay. Well, like when you're working on a big movie, you're usually, if you're on a location, you're looking out, and that's not the location that's going to be in the movie. So you ask the director, what am I looking at? Oh, there's a spaceship hanging in the looming there, and there's a crashed thing here, and a building that's going to fall, and you know, as soon as the scene starts, you know. So it's like, then you're like, okay, you put it all together, because usually it's just, you know, greened out and you know, it's all CG backgrounds. So most of the time when you're on a big movie, it's a set that's about as big as this room, covered in green screen. So you got green screen everywhere. And you got markers on the green screen going, that's my eye line for the castle and that's my eye line for the road, you know. So it's like, you got to really imagine where you are. Yeah.
So it's all in your mind, basically.
It's all in your mind, yes.
And when I did my stuff, it was all in the real world, and I imagined that it was all green screen. And Iron Man flew in, and then...
in the case of our animated series, we come first, and then they animate to us. So in our recordings, which are recorded as an ensemble, it's kind of like story time, you know, and the director will read the stage directions and kind of set the scene for us. But that's why we have to do our homework. You know, it's important to know where we're coming from, where we're going as actors, what we need to get out of the scene, and just play to our imaginations.
Thank you for your question. We're gonna go right here.
What is the hardest part of each of your jobs?
When I'm not working.
Yeah, I would say the hardest part of my job is when I have really emotional scenes or really a heightened sense of reality in the scene, and I have to play it alone. I think that's the greatest challenge. I think one of the great things about working in theater and working in other aspects of acting is that you're usually playing off of someone. And so you get to act and then react, but when we're recording alone, it's all self-generated. And that's probably the greatest challenge.
non-jokingly, I would say the biggest challenge is like staying in the moment, especially when you're doing like a very intense scene. Like I've done my fair share of those, and it's just like, you've got the crew around you, and you've got lights, and you've got equipment, and there's just so much going on, and you're just not very much, I mean, like when you watch it, you know, the idea is that we're putting you into a reality that feels like you're sort of just spying in on something that's actually happening, and the reality is there's, what, not even 3 feet around you that isn't occupied by just like a guy like checking his watch, or like somebody who's like fixing a light, or somebody saying, even when you're filming, there's just so much of a world that's around you, and this is obviously unique to film or TV. And so you have to remember that you're just sort of like a cog in the machine, and you're doing your job, and not ever be like, well, my thing is the most important thing. It's like, no, you have to understand that like the camera does its job, and those guys are doing their job, and the lights and everything, it all kind of has to work together. And so I think the hardest thing is to like forget that like, you know, you have to prepare and do all the moments, like, well, do all your homework, and then show up and understand that you are just part of this like machine that has to move, and like being focused and still being like emotionally present, but also understanding that it's like a job you have to do. It's not just all about you.
My biggest challenge is trusting that it needs to happen will happen, and not pre-plan the scene in my head. So I like and feeling fear and allowing the fear to be there, not try to fight it, but use it as a fuel. So I like to be afraid, because it means I'm gonna have energy, and it's gonna, if I can manage that fear, and I can like use that fear as to heighten my senses and to make me listen more and make me more aware of just reacting, then I'm in the zone, and it happens, and allowing that to continue to happen when I know it's happening. That's the challenge of acting, which is it's amazing when you can realize what's happening and you're in it, and you allow it to continue, and then you don't come in and go, oh, and you know, as soon as you get in your head, you block yourself out, and you start looking at yourself, and kind of the wheel starts going off its axis. So it's like allowing it to spin naturally and allowing it to continue to happen, all while feeling fear and not letting the fear overcome you and become stronger. You allow it to feel.
I've heard that a lot this weekend, a lot of the actors have said that they take that fear, they take that adrenaline, they use that to push their performance forward, and it makes it better.
Yeah.
Because of the fear. They don't allow it to see.
Yes. The best actors are the fear managers, the ones that can manage their own fear. Like they know that you've got to feel it. Because if you don't feel it, you're not alive.
Yeah. And it comes across more real.
Yes.
Okay, let's go back now. Hi.
How do you work through your off days where it's hard to get in character?
It's hard to.
How do you, what, hard to do what?
Get in character.
Okay. Do you have off days? When you struggle with your character?
To me, like when you have to take a break for a couple days and then go back right into the character, kind of thing.
When you're not really into it,
Yeah.
right? If you're not really into it, how do you get into it?
How do you get in the zone?
In my opinion,
When you're having an off day or a bad day?
it comes out in the context. Really just reading everything around what I'm supposed to say, what I'm supposed to do. Really try to set the scene. And that just kind of helps to pull me back to where I need to be. Because it does happen. Sometimes I feel a lot of part, but I have to find a kick within.
Oh, I think I'm a very physical actor. Not as physical as this guy, but like I tend to ground myself in like a gesture, or like, not to get too like theatery, but like there's a very famous actor teacher and writer named Michael Chekhov, and it's all about like gesturing and sort of grounding yourself in a certain sort of reality for that character. And so like there are times when like I'll find my mind wandering, or my energy isn't there or whatever, but like sometimes I'll see a prop or something, I'll just use that, or I'll like fidget with something, or I'll just, you know, I'll play with my spine, or I'll play with my shoes, or I'll fix my hair, I'll do something that like kind of physically gets me back in the world of just not focusing on anything but the reality that I'm existing in the moment. But I think it's also just like playing it moment to moment and not thinking about, oh, I gotta come to work today, or I gotta keep thinking about how the character arc. It's like, none of us walk around thinking about our entire lives all the time, right? Or ourselves all the time. We're thinking about like, if I have to get milk, because I ran out of milk, or like I have to check my messages, or I have to pick up my kids, or whatever it is. So it's just like kind of keeping it in reality, like moment to moment, and that's how I like to work, to keep the character more organic and feel like a real person as opposed to just putting all that pressure on myself to like figure it all out at once. It's just like take one scene at a time, one moment at a time, one interaction at a time, and kind of build the character out from there.
Great question, thank you. Hi.
So my question is, if you was a fan of like a Marvel series growing up, how does it feel either, playing the character that you play or just being involved in that process, being involved in making these comic books, into real visual things like the sequel?
Yeah, good question. I feel like you have to pay homage to the real original characters, the real comics, and try to when I'm assigned to work with an actor and help them develop a character or develop a character on my own, I'll take the essence of what I feel like that character embodies, and then try to find that in myself or in the actor that I'm working with to develop the character so that you can bring out the real aspect of that essence of that character through the actor. And so find the version of that in the actor, and you extract it, and you say, there it is, it's more of that, shed the other stuff away, let the other stuff fall away. Let's find that there's the essence of the character in you. So it's real, rather than trying to put on a costume that fits what you think the audience is going to like. It's like keeping it real for the actor, for yourself.
I think it was brought up earlier about it's a team. It's very much a team, and each team thrives when the individual players are at their best. And everybody's got their role, everybody's got their mission. You show up and do your job. I think there will be a synchronicity within the reporting and performance, and I think it all falls in line with great writing. That's where it's all comics, writing, and art as well. You need them to work together. So we're just doing our part as voice artists. We record and the animators too. So I just try to show up, and I appreciate the team aspect of it. There's strength in that.
All right, let's see, you.
What's the strangest place you've ever been recognized for your role?
Strangest place you've ever been recognized for?
The airport, on the way here. I'm a voice actor, so no one really knows what I look like. But in my suitcase, I had a bunch of headshots, I had a bunch of Black Panther gear and stuff like that. So he's looking at my stuff, and then he started to put it together. And he's, oh, you can voice it. That was pretty cool.
Most uncomfortable just peeing next to a guy. Let's finish this transaction. Let's finish our own person, and then we can have this moment outside.
I can be next to anybody.
What's up, Spidey?
Where do we start?
What was the question?
Who was your favorite and least favorite person to act with?
Oh, wow.
Cover the lens of the camera.
I love Sigourney Weaver, and I love Josh Brolin. They're awesome. They're really cool on set. They're fun. They're awesome actors. They're seasoned. They're veterans. And they know what they're doing. Can't talk about the other people.
Yeah, I mean, everyone I've worked with has been cool. I mean, I could definitely tell you that there's assholes that I've worked with for sure. I mean, it's actors, they run the gamut of, cool to not so cool, but yeah, I'm gonna pass.
My least favorite, I'll start with that, is an actor who is not prepared. That is my least favorite. And an actor who also underestimates the sandbox we're playing. Voice acting is a distinctly different discipline than on-camera acting. And I've seen many on-camera actors show up thinking they can do the on-camera cheats that you just can't get away with. So an actor who's ill-prepared is the one with whom I enjoy working with. My most favorite, I would have to say, it might be Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill and Stanley is a close second. But Mark is obviously he brings a lot to the role. He's a very giving actor, and that's what actors usually want. It's another actor with whom you can get in that exchange and really feel the moments. And I enjoyed my time at Stanley.
Let's go here.
How does it make you feel to work in such a big universe? Each one of you represent a different medium in your own right. How does it make you personally feel to be part of this huge
It's wonderful, I have to say. It's like a shooting star. There are millions and billions of stars in the sky, but every once in a while you have this moment where you notice one. And that's kind of how I feel in the universe. It's got a wide array of characters, and I'm just playing one of them. And as long as I give my star to shine, you shoot across, you'll notice it. And notice that it's part of a sky that's filled with stars, not just my star. Notice my star alone.
I mean, it's a weird thing to suddenly be, we're talking about this outside, to be an actor, and I've done other things, and I've been on stage, and I've been on screen, but suddenly you're in something that has this fan base, has this worldwide sort of recognition, and overnight, kind of like a billion people know who you are in some level, because it's just the fandom reaches every corner of this world practically, and it's I think we're all going to be fans of stuff, of something, and I think it's everyone said it, you just have to honor kind of what you're doing and what your part in it is, and not, there are times when you're like, oh my god, I'm in the MCU now, and it's when you get your own Marvel wiki page, you're like, what? It's just it's weird. It's a weird thing. We're just actors, we're just people, and I've been a fan of lots of stuff for a really long time, and I've been a nerd or whatever you want to call me, but yeah, it's just cool, it's cool and fun, and
it's a really small family, really. When you get it all together, you take all the Marvel people that are actually making this stuff. It's you got Kevin Feige, and you got a handful of others that are running the show. You got Stan Lee's always around, and he's there, and he's always making the present. But it's a small little group of maybe 50 people that are always on these projects and making all these movies. It's crazy. It's crazy. They're pulling together all these talents, and the way they do it, the way they pull it together, it's incredible. Getting 50 movie stars to all have their schedules work together to actually show up on the same day is ridiculously difficult to do. They do it. They manage to pull it off somehow. And they're just they're passionate about it. They're passionate about the story, and they're passionate about the fans, and making a lot of money.
Michael mentioned it, and James mentioned it the other day, but it takes a village to make it happen. There's so many parts to it. Yeah, it's super cool. Let's go back. I thought there was a Deadpool over here, right? You have a question? What's up?
What's your most embarrassing green screen moment?
Most embarrassing green screen moment.
Okay, you can't tell anybody I told you this. It was my first day on set playing Groot, and I almost forgot my line. Hang on a minute. Hang on, give me a second. Oh, yeah, okay, good. We're good.
All right. Let's go back now. Oh, can we turn that into a question for you guys? What's your most embarrassing moment on set?
For me, since I'm charged with speaking the King's English more often than not, anytime I club a word, it really does. I'm a perfectionist in that way, and so yeah, if I mispronounce something.
I mean, does it have to be from Punisher? I did a show called The Nick. It was a show set in 1900 about doctors. I don't know if anyone saw it. Steven Soderbergh. You should see it. It's a great show. Not because I was in it, but it's just an awesome show. That was a really cool show to be a part of. But like, there's a scene where I was doing surgery, and it's 1900, and they teach you how to like use these old implements and actually sew like these, and then the bodies are like disgusting, and it's very realistic. But you're in this like huge gallery of people watching you do this like surgery, and they're on, we don't have all day, and it's really hard. I mean, I don't sew, I don't also know how to do surgery. Fucking doctor. And just like, I just couldn't like get it, like I just couldn't, and they kept having to like adjust the camera angle to like, basically, and then ultimately like, they couldn't really show exactly what I was doing because I just couldn't get it, and it was getting worse because like I was getting more and more frazzled and nervous because I knew that I was holding everything up. And so if you see that, there's a moment in the show where I was doing surgery, and it's like, I look like I really know what I'm doing, and I think in essence it's just me going like this. And Steven Soderbergh was like, he's like, just do the motions, and we'll like, we'll cheat it in post or whatever. Yeah, but that's the worst, man, when you have to like do those things, and you just like, because everyone wants to go home, no one wants to sit and watch you act on set, nobody cares. You guys care, and we care, but everyone else is like, just get to it.
All right, let's see. Let's go all the way to the back. All the way to the back, Spider-Man.
Are y'all told what spoilers you can give out when people ask you, and what franchises are connected to whatever else? Like movie or TV wise?
Yes.
So wait, what information they're allowed to give out?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you guys told what you're allowed to say and not say about your roles?
Yeah. You're told to say nothing. And when the movie actually starts to come out, then you get to leak things, little things. They say, okay, it's okay to talk about your character now. You have to hide your character. I had to hide Call Obsidian forever until the movie came out. Because they didn't know if Black Order was going to be in the film or whatnot. But yeah, then you slowly get to, say stuff. And then when the movie comes out, then it's just fair game. So, yeah.
And that's a great challenge. In this day where we have social media and we're all desirous of promoting our own work, it's a challenge. Because most of us will fear for our jobs if we say the wrong thing. You don't want to be the guy who got replaced because he revealed a plot line. And so they do provide talking points to let us know what we're allowed to say and what we can't say.
Yeah, we had some pretty intense media training. The Punisher was like a very big, like, nobody knew it was definitely happening, and I think a lot of people were waiting for it, were hoping that it was going to come out, and so it was like super secretive, and like I said, we operated under like a pseudonym for the movie, for the show, and all this stuff, but we had like intense, not only media training from Marvel, but also from Netflix. It was like very, like, these are your talk, we got handed out a thing, like, your character, you can say this, this, and this, and also like, they didn't encourage us to take pictures behind the scenes, but I couldn't help it, and I took some, but they were like, just don't. But once the thing came out, they're like, okay, you can post like a couple of behind the scenes if you want or whatever. But yeah, they're really, and a couple of people did post. I remember somebody in our, I don't know if it's our cast, somebody related to us posted like a picture of the cast when we all did our first read through together. There's like you can see it online. It's like, I think I'm wearing like shorts in it. Like we don't look like everyone's just sort of very casual. It was like all of us just like the first cast photo we took, and then someone posted like way early, like while we were making it, and someone got fired. It was not an actor, obviously, but like, yeah.
It means a lot to them. There's a lot invested. You don't want to be the one to ruin it. You don't want to be the first one to say, surprise!
Let's go. You, sir. Yes.
Other than the obvious, who is your favorite MCU character? Not actor, but character.
I was going to ask you guys that too. Who's your favorite?
Can't choose Groot, Punisher, and...
Who is to portray, if you could portray another Marvel character? So who's your favorite? And if you had another chance, who'd you
I would want to play Silver Surfer.
Yeah?
Such a good question. It's so hard.
I kind of would want to play the Hulk. I got a lot of stuff inside. I need
I don't know. I haven't said
Hulk also.
Can I? I mean, I think I could do a pretty good Tony Stark. Different, little off, different version of it. Not as sort of like, you know, not quite as cocky, like a more neurotic version. Tony Stark's little brother. Yeah.
Let's go.
Tony Shtick.
Here.
So, what do you guys like? How do you guys react whenever like you see like Stanley in this or Stanley's on film?
Okay, the question was, how do they react when they see Stan Lee's cameos on film?
I love it. I love it because he's a cool guy. So and he's just a legend, and so you're kind of waiting for it. I love it. He's a nice person too. And he's super cool on set.
Yeah, it's like coming through a family photo album and seeing a younger version of one of your favorite family members. You're like, oh, look at Uncle So-and-so. It's younger. It's that. It's always a very warm experience. Because having worked with him, I kind of have a sense of what that experience might have been like for the actors on set. So it's heartwarming.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We know when he's coming too. It's like a big deal. It's like the Pope is showing up. You know? It's like Stanley's coming. He's here. He's here. He's here. Did you see him? He's in the parking lot. It's a cool thing.
That's awesome. Let's go over here somewhere. Right here. Hi.
What's your favorite voice line that you guys have said?
Favorite voice line they've ever said? All right.
What does that mean? What was that? What's the Chinese?
I think mine would be simply, I am the king. We don't get to say that very often. We'll get to say it.
I thought it was pretty dope that I was the first person in the Punisher series to actually say the words "the Punisher." I don't know if you remember. It's like, I think it was like the first episode. Because she says Frank Castle something, and I think I give that smirk. It was in like the first trailer. I'm like, the Punisher? Like what a ridiculous name for somebody. Like who created that name? So that was pretty cool.
Did they ask you to give it that read, or was that your choice? See, it's awesome. That's great. This character's the best thing possible. Love it. All right, let's go over here. Hi.
What's the strangest thing that ever happened while you were on set?
The question is, strangest thing that's ever happened on set.
That you can actually say.
There aren't very many strange things that happen to us. Very less.
I'm digging.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it was strange when I showed up to work and Stan Lee was there. That was very strange. It did seem like the Pope was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. It was strange to see his script because the font was so large. It was strangely beautiful, though.
I mean, it's just something funny that happened. I mean, like, when I was in all of my tactical gear and I had all this makeup and rigging and stuff for my big magical unicorn scene, Punisher, like it was like a whole process to like get this, because they had done the prosthetic thing and they had done, and there's all this stuff you have to wear underneath, and so it was like contracted, it took hours and hours, and of course, right it was done, I was like, I have to piece. And I had to like sort of unbeknownst to everyone, cut a little hole in the costume so they couldn't see it. And, so that was strange. So I had to pee. I was gonna like pee inside the costume. Two urination anecdotes.
All right, no strange things for you?
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, I'm not trying to make it come that.
Okay. So we won't try. We won't try. Let's go right here.
So to kind of play off that, I guess, like any, I guess, on-set or outward pranks that you guys have seen or been involved in over the years?
The question is pranks?
Yeah.
If they've been involved in or seen any funny pranks on the set? You know,
Like some glitter in the Punisher shirt, or, you know.
Like, is anyone particularly a prankster?
Voice actors are very talented actors and with their voices. And so on occasion, you'll get an actor who will chime in as someone else's character. That's pretty cool.
Do people ever leave, like, when they do ADR separately, do they leave you things, like secret little messages for you to hear?
Not quite.
No?
But people do have a good time in ADR. Whenever there are crowd scenes, you know, then you can really let your hands go. If you pay close attention next time you see an animated crowd scene, you will hear some strange things.
I tend to just do really weird things to the sound guy, like because in the simplest terms possible, there's a sound guy, sound girl, whatever, who's off somewhere, you know, not in your physical space, but you know, they're running all the sound for all the actors to make sure our dialogue and everything is recorded. But they can hear when they turn the mics on. It's usually like a little bit before you're gonna start shooting. So I tend to just like say really like weird, dark, strange things to them. And so every time we say cut, I go back there and I always see them going. It's like I enjoy that reaction, so I tend to do that quite a bit.
Well, we had, you know those jelly beans that taste like boogers and barf?
Yeah.
We had a thing where every time you made a mess and you messed up on set, you had to eat one. So it was like, it was bad.
Let's go right here. Hi.
Have you always wanted to be in this industry?
Have you always wanted to be in this industry was the question.
Nope, not at all. I started out just thinking I was getting lucky to work on one film, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas was my first movie, and Ron Howard hired me to come in and play. I was a circus person, and he wanted to see what the Who's could do, and I thought, wow, I got to work on a movie. And then I started teaching the extras, not knowing that that was not right to do. He walked by, and everybody's like, he called me in his office, and they said, oh man, you're in trouble. And I thought, oh, this is it, that's it, I'm done, I'm fired. And he said, I want you to work with all the actors. So I got to work with the actors, and then that set my career off. So I thought I would only get to work on one movie one time, but he set my career.
Yeah, I mean, at an early age, I was always like acting, and I went to school for it. I went to theater school, and I was a big theater actor for a while, and did lots of Shakespeare and musicals and all sorts of stuff. And so yeah, I've always kind of wanted to be involved, but like it's weird, your career sort of takes different turns, and I thought I was going to be sort of a lifelong, sort of making no money theater actor and just be cool with that, because, you know, it's like theater. And then I, started like not having money, and that sucked. But yeah, and then you start like booking commercials and other things, and you get to do other stuff, and it's nice to have a career. I'm doing a musical in New York soon, which is cool. I haven't done theater in a few years, and I'm going back to do a revival of doing Oklahoma in New York City. So if you come to New York, you can see me in Oklahoma, which is weird. I have the weirdest career, it really is. But yeah, it's just like the business kind of sucks. It's not a fun business to be in because there's a lot of downtime, there's a lot of unemployment, and it's really, really hard. But I think it's like, you love it, and you just have to keep doing it. But I've always loved it just enough to keep doing it even when it was like not going well. Which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or it makes me a masochist or what, but
First thing I wanted to be was a scientist, because someone gave me a microscope when I was a kid. And then I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I wanted to be a filmmaker. I grew up in Spike Lee's Brooklyn, I could relate to the movies that he made, and it made me want to tell my own stories. And I went to film school at USC, and I just couldn't deny the acting side. I chose to pursue that. But I still write a solo animated show last year. So at some point I will hang up the crown and pursue my own endeavors.
Yeah, we were speaking recently, and you mentioned that you don't have to choose just one thing. If you have many passions, you can pursue all of them, and you just have to give all to the one you're currently doing.
Because we don't necessarily know our path, right? We can only lead with our intentions, and we can set a goal, and you might get there tangentially. But as long as the steps that you take are forward, as long as they're progressive steps. I worked as an extra when I was in college because I wanted to learn more about being on a set. When I had the good fortune of befriending a director who had directed Married with Children at the time, and she brought me in and allowed me to shadow her as a director for a week of production, which was great. It was an opportunity that I probably wouldn't have had if I just showed up to work the job that I was working. I showed up on set to learn everything, to be a sponge. And thankfully I was exposed to some things that I really enjoyed.
Right here.
With the growing change from Marvel's doing villains, like the recent Black Panther movie, it really wasn't a villain, but just more of a which moral side do you choose for either this guy or that guy. How does that challenge y'all as actors to portray? Because it's even in some of the cartoon shows you do see like the moral challenge instead of just saying this is the hero, this is the villain. How does that challenge you all as actors to really show up and portray that?
I like it because it gives the conflict some texture. We're not all just black and white. You can have a frown, but maybe you're smiling inside about something. And I think the more intricate the storylines get, the more colorful we'll see the films. They won't be your typical film, much like Killmonger in the Black Panther. Within the context of the story, he is a villain. But in the greater context of life and the African American experience, to some he's a hero because of his message. So I think it allows for some duality with the heroes and the villains.
I think I'm in the biggest anti-hero thing of all of them. So for me, that was the whole point of our show. Was what is a hero and what is a villain? And so that was our goal with our show was always to, and I think my role in that show a lot of the times was to present that argument and kind of be a bit of a moral sort of compass for the show. And yeah, it's awesome to consider that. And I think also just to say that villains don't think of themselves as villains. The best portrayals of villains are when they portray them not as sort of snarling, weird, evil people, but people who feel like what they're doing is right. The greatest villain in literature maybe is Iago, right, in Othello, but Iago doesn't think of what he's, he feels wronged and he feels, and whether you agree or not agree with anyone's take on it, everyone feels what they have to say or what they want to do is the right thing. And so I think that when you portray it from that place, that complexity of character is super fun. And by the way, I would love to play a villain. That would be my favorite thing to do. And my choice would not be in the Marvel universe. But it's been cast already, so I can't play.
Totally agree with what he just said. It's I think the best villains are the ones that actually really feel like they're doing something right, and that they have this conviction that's just absolute and true and resolute in that conviction. And that's what we tried to do with Thanos, with Josh, is when we were working on his character, is just eliminate any sense of bad guy, being bad for just to be bad, but to actually have this righteous path that he was on that was right and true to him. So, and then the things he does were just horrific. So, along the way. So, yeah, the best villains, I agree, are the ones that don't feel like they're doing anything bad.
Right. I hear that a lot, that they feel the best villains that feel justified for what they're doing. Yeah, I think I agree. All right, we have enough time for one more question. We're going to go all the way in the back, make it a good one.
found out, like, well, that basically I want to put it like that half of the Avengers were gonna die, what was your reaction?
Say that one more time, please.
Like, when you found out that half of the Avengers were gonna die, what was your reaction?
Okay, the question was how you felt when you found out that half of the Avengers were going to die. Spoiler alert!
You mean they all rode off on magic? You're right.
None of us even knew. They gave us false pages. They gave us fake script. So none of us knew. And it was a totally closed set. It was totally like, whoa, this is weird. Why are they're not letting anybody else in? It's like, what's happening? So I found out the day before that was gonna happen. And I'm like, really? What? So, yeah. I was as sad as you.
Yeah. Sorry for anyone who hasn't seen it. If you haven't seen it by now, what are you waiting for? Seriously. I believe, did you have your hand up right here? No, over here. Yeah, I saw someone's hand up here. We're going to make this one the last one. I knew you had your hand up for a while.
I was wondering, of any characters you've played, do you have a favorite?
Yes, my favorite, aside from the obvious T'Challa, would be my first role, which was on Ben 10. He was Enforcer Alien. and I like that. It's my favorite because it was my gateway. You know, it was like consistently been knocking on this door, no one ever answered, and finally the door opened and walked the Enforcer Alien.
I mean, there are two, but they're not to be like a theater dork, but they were theater roles. My favorite things I ever did were I got to play Hamlet, which was awesome, and it was and then the other thing, sad that it was so long ago, but the last show I ever did in college was Little Shop of Horrors, and I got to play the dentist. I mean, I've done a lot of things, but like, yeah, you like remember these things as like sort of iconic things that sort of like made you like discover kind of like all the different facets of who you might be as a performer or creator, and so like those two experiences were sort of singular, very different. I didn't play them the same way.
Mine was Rocket in Planet of the Apes. It's my favorite character to play because it's the best version of myself, and I had to really like learn about myself and who I wanted to really be. And so it's open, honest, faithful, just true, and selfless.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you guys, do you have anything coming up that we can look forward to seeing you in? Would you like to do a little, if it's no spoiler.
I just got asked to do Call of the Wild. I'm a big buck. Call of the Wild.
Dun 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 dun. Oklahoma, I told you. What is he doing? Oklahoma. Ali Hakim. Yeah. It's a very weird, dark, revisionist version. It's the 75th anniversary production. They're doing it at this place called St. Anne's Warehouse, which is this very cool space in New York. It's this world premiere place where they do all the big shows around the world come, and it's going to be weird and strange, and they rearranged all the music for a bluegrass band, and it's very immersive, and they're doing something very intense with it, so I'm really excited, and it's very kind of political, and it's going to be really cool. And I'm a writer too, and a producer, and I've got a few scripts in development. I've got a non-scripted kind of very cool thing I can't talk about, that we're going to be pitching shortly, and it's looking pretty good, and so, but you'll be hearing from me about that hopefully soon, and yeah. Hopefully people will just keep hiring me to act.
I recently did a virtual reality experience, which is great. I think it's the way that the industry is going. That's an NBC Universal project that I can't say much more about. But that was a great experience. And Marvel's Avengers Assemble is being rebranded next season and entitled Black Panther's Quest. And so it's now going to focus more on T'Challa and Shuri and their relationship. It's got a James Bond type of feel, and it's going to be great.
And what show did you sell? You sold something?
Yes, I did sell my own project called Chocolate Chips. It's about 2 black motorcycle cops.